Hey guys, Will or Lolio here, and today I'm showing you the level 2 garrison. So the garrison, for those of you who don't know, starts at a level 1 and can progress up to level 3. And each time it levels, you unlock more building plots, the garrison grows visually in size, in scope, the NPCs that are there change around, basically it just grows in every way. And if you've seen the level 1 garrison, you'll notice immediately how much bigger this one is. It's also called a fort on your minimap, while the level 1 garrison is just called an outpost. My guess is that when you hit level 3, it truly becomes a garrison. And after leveling it up, there are definitely quite a few more NPCs around, and it definitely feels a lot more alive and active. For example, there's this ethereal NPC, who has placed out some constructs, which have a fairly interesting mechanic. They act as vehicles, so you can move them around, but the cool thing is that they each have a portal attached to them, which acts sort of like a warlock gateway. Whenever you step through the portal on one, it sends you over to the other construct's portal. There's a limited range on it, but I don't know. It's a nice little convenience thing, a fun little toy. I couldn't really find any real use for it, but I'm sure someone's gonna be really creative with it and find like an awesome way to get around their garrison with them. Some of the other interesting NPCs that I didn't see in the level 1 garrison are vendors selling blueprints for more buildings. Most of them required a higher level, and since currently the max in the beta is level 92, I wasn't able to buy any of them. It was previously said on Twitter that if people somehow miss plans while leveling, like if they just prefer to do dungeons or PvP to max level, they're still going to be able to advance their garrison by going to these vendors, and so I'm assuming that's what these plans are for. But right now, the gold price on each set of plans is really high. It's like 5,000 gold for one building, and I don't know, that seems overly punishing for people who don't like to quest. Currently, the only way to upgrade your garrison to level 2 is to build an alchemy lab, which was really bugged for several builds. Like your workers would work on it, but they just would never finish it. Apparently they finally fixed it, which is how I was able to upgrade my garrison in the first place. But the alchemy lab itself is not really anything special, it's just one of the many profession buildings that you can use. The way it works is that you gather a certain number of materials, and then you go talk to an NPC there, and you give them a work order. And after a day, a bunch of mats are generated from the building that you can pick up and use. I'm assuming this is what Blizzard means when they say that professions are heavily integrated into the garrison. Like if you want more mats from various professions, you're gonna have to pick and choose which buildings you want, so you decide which professions you want mats from, and then you work on the work orders, and you're given mats basically every day if you give them the materials to make you stuff. The mine is another one of these profession buildings, and it was also bugged for a few builds, but now it's open and you can complete the quest that gives you access to it. The cool thing I noticed while doing this was that there are actually several nodes of black rock and true iron ore that you can mine if you have mining, even while your garrison guys are out gathering ore for you. One thing to note is that the 3 gathering buildings, that would be the mine, the fishing shack, and the herb garden, they don't count as small plots, meaning that everyone gets them and you don't lose out on anything else by having them. And because of this, some people are really curious if this is going to make gathering professions useless or less valuable, because everyone's going to be getting a steady supply of mats for these professions. Mumber made it clear on Twitter that they definitely want to preserve the value of the gathering professions, and they're going to look for ways to make sure they're not obsolete. Leveling your garrison also seems to give you access to more and varied types of missions, but currently these are heavily bugged, so it's really difficult to get any of them to work. Like the followers just stay on the missions forever, you can't collect your rewards. Really, you can't do anything with followers right now. Something else that Mumber recently mentioned on Twitter, and was shown on Wowhead, is that the size of garrisons, in terms of number of buildings and plots, has taken a noticeable hit. So a fully upgraded garrison, level 3, will only be able to have 2 large, 2 medium, and 3 small plots. Previously, you were able to have 1 more of each type, when your garrison was maxed out. And the reason for this change is said to be to promote meaningful choices, which I kind of understand. If you can have more buildings, then it is less of a decision-making process overall, like you can just pick whichever ones seem vaguely appealing to you. If you're more restricted, the choices you make feel bigger and more impactful. That's definitely something Blizzard tries to do, like they want big, meaningful choices in all facets of their game design, and so I get why they're doing this. It definitely makes sense with how they design other things. But personally, I felt that the number of plots was already really restrictive enough, and shrinking the size of the garrison, it just feels like they're gutting the feature. I mean, we've already seen a lot of things cut or removed from garrisons. Like, remember initially how you were supposed to be able to move it to any zone you wanted? And then you were supposed to be able to rename your followers, and people always wanted their own racial buildings, like Instead of just Horde or Alliance or Orc and Human, that's what they really are. Instead of just those buildings, people wanted like buildings for the Forsaken or the Blood Elves or the Draenei. But admittedly, that would have been a huge art investment, and so Blizzard never really said they were going to do that. They always said that it was something they wanted to do, but they probably weren't going to be able to, so I understand that. But it just seems like a lot of things have been cut from this expansion. Not just garrisons, I mean the Karabor Bladespire thing, obviously, is probably the most recent one that had a huge impact, but there's just a variety of things. A lot of quest chains have been removed from the beta already, a lot of zones have been completely redesigned. It seems like there's a lot of problems in development, and I hope the expansion will turn out well, even with all these changes. I'm still fairly optimistic, because there are cool things that are still being added, like it was recently said on Twitter that you're going to be able to customize the races of the guards of your garrison. So that's at least something to differentiate yours from someone else's. Like right now, I think that was something people had concern about, was the lack of customization. Anyway, that's all from me for now. If you enjoyed the video, or found it informative, please leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.